Last weekend, I went on a first date with an American Israeli woman, who we will call Danielle. Her father is Israeli from Haifa, and her mother is a Jewish American. Danielle is an only child, born and raised in the United States, where her parents have lived for a few good decades. While Danielle has made plenty of visits to Israel in her 31 years, she has never lived in Israel. Danielle told me that, growing up, she was not overly proud to be Israeli, but as she got into her 20s, Israel became an exponentially larger part of her identity. Naturally, October 7th pushed everything over the top, inspiring her to move to Israel. Danielle is planning to call Israel her new home in the coming months, which I think is great, but our conversation about why she wants to move there reminded me about a trap which I have seen many people follow into concerning the Jewish state. I call this trap the over-romanticism of Israel, characterized by or suggestive of an idealized view of the Jewish state. For example, Danielle told me that she yearns for that empowering feeling of living in a country where, day to day, no one really knows if it will be wiped out by its disingenuous neighbors, which some say creates a more intimate level of societal camaraderie not found in places like the United States. But as I told Danielle, the reality is that Israelis do not wake up every day thinking, "Oh man, I wonder if today is the day we are going to get wiped out. Let's all come together now." Quite the opposite. Israelis largely think about the same things that non-Israelis think about: family, health, making a living, saving money, moving up the socio-economic ladder, self-development, and so forth. In this way, Israel is quite an ordinary country, with the so-called good, bad, and ugly that every country on this planet demonstrates. Yet many people excessively romanticize Israel as if it is some fairy tale version of what is otherwise real life for everyone else. While Israel's story is indeed remarkable, its over-romanticism often overshadows the complex realities on the ground, including its internal socio-political challenges, the geopolitical quicksands of the Middle East, and the daily lives of Israel's increasingly diverse population. Historical and biblical romanticism. Israel's significance in the Western imagination, but not only, is deeply rooted in the country's biblical history. The land of Israel, particularly Jerusalem, is central to the narratives of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. The ancient kingdom of Israel, the stories of kings like David and Solomon, and the construction of the first and second temples are foundational to Western religious and cultural heritage. This historical connection has fostered a deep-seated romanticism, portraying Israel as a land of miracles, divine favor, and ancient wisdom. The biblical romanticism often glosses over the archaeological and historical complexities of the region. For instance, the historical accuracy of many biblical events is a subject of ongoing scholarly debate. While some archaeological findings support certain biblical narratives, others suggest a more nuanced and less homogeneous history. The ancient land of Israel was a melting pot of various cultures and civilizations, each contributing to its rich and complex history. This intricate past is often simplified in the popular imagination, overshadowed by the more straightforward and appealing biblical tales, ultimately leading some people nowadays to justify or ignore certain actions and behaviors that would otherwise be unacceptable. Zionist Romanticism. The modern state of Israel, established in 1948, is a testament to the Zionist movement, which sought to create a Jewish homeland after centuries of persecution that culminated in the horrors of the Holocaust. The story of Israel's founding is often depicted as a miraculous rebirth of a nation, a beacon of hope for Jews worldwide. The early pioneers who drained swamps, built a kibbutz or two, and turned deserts into fertile land are celebrated as heroes in the Zionist narrative. While the achievements of the Zionist movement are indeed significant, this romanticism often overlooks the rough start that the Jewish state endured, and how it shaped the development and evolution of Israeli society. For example, after Israel's War of Independence, most Arabs remaining in Israel were granted citizenship, though they were subject to martial law in the early years of the state. Zionism had given little serious thought as to how to integrate Arabs, and subsequent policies were implemented by a deliberate regime of military rule that dominated what remained of the Arab population in sovereign territory known as Israel, enabling the state to expropriate most Arab-owned land, severely limit its access to investment capital and employment opportunity, and eliminate virtually all opportunities to use citizenship as a vehicle for gaining political influence. Travel permits, curfews, administrative detentions, and expulsions were part of life until 1966. A variety of Israeli legislative measures facilitated the transfer of land abandoned by Arabs to state ownership. Other common legal expedients included the use of emergency regulations to declare land belonging to Arab citizens a closed military zone, followed by the use of Ottoman legislation on abandoned land to take control of the land. Today, Israeli Arabs are fully equal citizens under law, and many do well in Israeli society, but many also do not. This is due to many factors, at least a few of which can be traced back to the state's treatment of Israeli Arabs through the first 2 decades of the State of Israel's existence. This matters for Israel's immediate and long-term future, because Israeli Arabs are an asset to the State of Israel, so long as they are law-abiding citizens, and most are. But if the state and society does not treat Israeli Arabs as an asset, they become a liability, which harms the State of Israel's national security by effectively turning Israeli Arabs into the notorious fifth column, a group within a country who is sympathetic to or working for its enemies. Military Romanticism. Israel's military achievements, particularly its victories in the 1948 War of Independence, the 1967 Six-Day War, and the 1973 Yom Kippur War, have further contributed to its romantic image. The Israeli Defense Forces are often portrayed as a heroic and invincible force, defending the small nation against overwhelming odds. Stories of daring missions, such as the Entebbe raid, and the resilience of Israeli soldiers in the face of adversity have become legendary. However, this military romanticism can obscure the reality that the IDF, like every other army, is imperfect. It has bad apples, and IDF generals, officers, and commanders make mistakes and missteps. October 7th is by far the biggest mistake and misstep in IDF history. I am not a conspiracy theorist, but the results speak for themselves. Some 1,200 dead, 250 more kidnapped, and thousands more injured in a single day. No less the destruction caused to several Israeli communities and military bases. While Hamas and its supporters should absolutely be held accountable for October 7th, the IDF and other aspects of Israel's security establishment have an unshakable duty to protect the citizens of Israel, and they failed on that fateful day. As I remember one Israeli saying just a couple of hours into the Hamas-led massacres on October 7th, "Where in the world is the IDF?" What's more, the IDF may be a top 5 strongest army in the world, but Israel is no longer fighting purely military conflicts, and it has not been since the 1980s. Every war since then has included other incredibly important facets that transcend the battlefield, including international diplomacy, PR, and media. In these ways, the so-called war of information has been nothing short of a massive failure for Israel. Nowadays, Israel finds itself in a situation where its military is so obviously stronger and more sophisticated than Hamas, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, Hezbollah, and every other country in the Middle East. However, much of the world is holding back Israel from fighting this conflict to a victory, only allowing it to play for a draw, which is one reason why the wars keep happening. There are many reasons for this reality, but a consequential and often overlooked one is the record-breaking $38 billion U.S. military aid package that then President Barack Obama and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu signed in 2016, and took effect 2 years later. What most people do not realize is that this deal has proven to be a disastrous point of American leverage against Israel, and it has significantly downgraded Israeli military technology, manufacturing, and the amount of local jobs in the sector. Technological and economic romanticism. In recent decades, Israel has gained a reputation as a startup nation, celebrated for its technological innovations and vibrant economy. The country's success in fields such as cybersecurity, biotechnology, and agriculture is often highlighted as a testament to the ingenuity and entrepreneurial spirit of the Israeli people. Cities like Tel Aviv are portrayed as hubs of creativity and modernity, attracting talent and investment from around the world. While Israel's technological and economic achievements are impressive, the romanticism surrounding them can obscure the socio-economic disparities within the country. For example, there is a significant gap between the high-tech sector and other parts of the economy, leading to notable income inequality. Additionally, the economic benefits of Israel's technological advancements are not evenly distributed, with marginalized communities, including ultra-Orthodox Jews and Israeli Arabs, often facing higher levels of poverty and unemployment. Cultural and social romanticism. Israel's cultural diversity is another aspect that contributes to its romantic image. The country is home to a mosaic of cultures, with Jewish immigrants from Europe, the Middle East, North Africa, and beyond, as well as Arab citizens, Druze, Bedouins, and other minority groups. This diversity is often portrayed as a symbol of Israel's inclusiveness and multiculturalism. Festivals, music, dance, and culinary traditions from various cultures are celebrated, adding to the vibrant social fabric of the nation. However, this cultural romanticism can sometimes gloss over the tensions and inequalities that exist within Israeli society. The integration of different immigrant communities has not always been smooth, and issues of discrimination and social exclusion persist. For instance, Ethiopian Jews have faced significant challenges in terms of social integration and economic opportunities. And lastly, political romanticism. The political landscape of Israel is often romanticized, especially by its supporters abroad. Israel is frequently depicted as the only true democracy in the Middle East, a bastion of liberal values and human rights in a region plagued by authoritarian regimes and political instability. This narrative emphasizes Israel's democratic institutions, free press, and vibrant civil society, which all exist. While Israel's democratic achievements are notable, the romanticism surrounding its political system can obscure the complexities and challenges it faces. For instance, Israel's political system is characterized by a high degree of fragmentation, with numerous parties and frequent elections, leading to political instability and challenges in governance. In conclusion, the over-romanticism of Israel, while understandable given its unique history and achievements, often results in a one-sided narrative that overlooks the complexities and challenges faced by the nation and its people, both internally and within the context of the Middle East. On an interpersonal note, it seems that people who talk about Israel as if it is perfect or superior, ultimately inviting others to overly criticize Israel, since many people put it on a pedestal which naturally makes others want to take it down. A more balanced perspective would celebrate Israel's historical, technological, and cultural contributions, while keeping conversations about Israel down to earth, such that more people do not overemphasize the Jewish state and hold it to different standards, good or bad. By moving beyond romanticism, we can gain a deeper and more accurate, realistic understanding of Israel, appreciating its successes and accepting its faults, just as most every other country embodies.